Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Busting Through Life Challenges with me, Di Parker. And today I'm really honoured with my guest, who's an entrepreneur and a business coach, Jan Tinsley. Thank you so much for coming along and joining us today. Now, Jan has got quite the background, and if you are in business in particular, this is a very good place to be today, because Jan's got so much behind her to help people that are new to business or struggling to get going again. This is your lady, guys. Okay, thanks for coming, Jan.
You're so welcome. Oh, big build up there.
Right,
Yeah.
so what I'm asking the people that I've been talking with is, why coaching? What got you into wanting to do coaching?
Okay, well, I think if you're in business, you become a coach automatically, whether you realise it or not. I'm sure people recognise this if you're in business, because you've got a team, you've got staff, you've got things to do. You start to coach, and really the important part about that for me is that you have to learn to ask questions. And you have to be really brave about that. And so for me, being in business, I feel like I've been a coach for like the whole time I've been in business, which is like 40 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So I only recently got the certification as a coach, because I thought it was really important. If I'm going to share my stories, share my experiences, then I've got some kind of certification, and I know that I'm doing it correctly, and I've got a structure, and that everything is valid. So that was such a fantastic learning curve for me to do that certification. And what it's sort of done is it's given me the confidence to share my stories, share my experience, and then help people sort of in a coaching way to be able to help them work out their things.
Yeah. And so the journey started. I know I've been to a few of your talks, and I do always pick something extra up from it. The first time we met each other was in something that Jan was running called Powwow, and Jan used to invite guest speakers on to do a little turn, and I did one of those. But the other thing was that Jan started sharing her story, and I could relate to so much of it. Obviously not to the extent that this lady has done, because it's amazing what she's done. But that made me realize inside of us all there is a story. So Jan, back when you decided to leave school, you went to business school, which was not something that your mum and dad thought you were going to do, but you did. Tell them a little bit about that side of things.
Okay, well, this is something I like to talk about, because I like to talk about people's sort of gut and gut reaction and intuition and things. And I think we really should rely on it a lot more. And that's one of the stories that I share, because I was only 15. I was doing my O-levels, because obviously that's how old I am. It was O-levels then, isn't it?
Me too.
Not GCSEs. And I sort of done my 10 O-levels, and the pattern was in school that you did your O-levels, then you did your A-levels, and then you went to teacher training college or to university or whatever. And I decided I wanted to study business. And I don't know where that came from, because I had absolutely no role models for that. My dad was a stockman on a farm. My mum was a stay-at-home housewife. I didn't have any family members who were in business, but it was that strong that I decided, the teachers were shocked, my parents were shocked, everyone was sort of thinking, what? But it's what I wanted to do. And I started, I studied my business studies, then went to 16, studying business studies. I did actually sit my 3 A-levels at the same time, because I was panicking a bit that perhaps if people didn't really understand business studies or whatever, and there might not be something for me, at least I got my 3 A-levels to to fall back on. But that was the start of it, really. And I can say this in retrospect now, that I can look back and say, wow, that was just such the right thing for me, because I had such a great grounding with my studies, and then with the opportunities I got after that, to be able to carry on in business. And business is what I love, and I'm really happy to talk about business sort of all day long. I know it sounds a bit sad, but I do genuinely see the opportunities, and I love helping people also in business. So
could you just whiz through an overview of the different types of businesses that you've run, so that, you know, they understand the quality of an entrepreneur that we have sitting with us today?
Well, you start off like really, really small, and we started off when the interest rates in 1979, the interest rates went up to 17%. I'd already given up work to have my first daughter, and we realized we just couldn't afford to live, and so that's when we ended up buying our first business. And we went from not being able to afford our mortgage and to live and put food on the table with interest rates at 17% to, within 4 years, buying a hotel. That was like one of our first sort of really big ventures, and that was it was a beautiful country house hotel on the Shropshire-Welsh border, right on the Offansdyke path, that divides Wales and England. Beautiful location, 2 championship glass-backed squash courts, tennis courts, a little outdoor swimming pool, gorgeous country house. One of the pictures I've got is with Lloyd George in his car at the front of what it would have then been a country house. And then 4 years later, we lost everything. So that was a big learning curve. And then we sort of reinvented ourselves, retrained, re-engineered, found other things, other strengths that we were doing. By that time, we got 2 children. Survival.
So what gave you the strength to dig deep at that point and say, right, I'm going to go for this again, as opposed to running off and getting a proper job, as people call it? What was that drive that you both said, right, well, that didn't work, we'll do something else?
Well, we did get proper jobs, as you call it, although some of mine weren't really kind of proper jobs to start with. John was able to, he did some selling jobs. He sold paint, which is another story. He sold double glazing, but then he was recruited by one of the insurance companies, and he started to study financial services. So he was then able to get his qualifications in financial services. I, in the meantime, were doing anything that I could do that could manage 2 children and being at home and looking after them. And I worked in a little cafe. I drilled clutch plates, don't ask. I sold advertising. I did sort of all kinds of jobs to put food on the table, and we both did this. But I think the interesting thing was that we both were growing. So it was about, no, we're not sort of staying here, this isn't the job that we're going to do. I don't think we set out to say we're going to have another business. But it was just an unspoken
happens. It came just came. I can completely
and that, for me, that was the time where I was able to start studying again. So I mean, we were always listening to tapes and things, as you did then. Tapes,
we were talking about that
podcasts. But in terms of I was able to study again, and I went back to do my postgrad Chartered Institute of Marketing diploma then, which, again, was the big challenge when you're spinning plates and trying to manage everything else. But then with all those sort of tools, as we were getting ourselves on our feet, I always liken this to the story about bamboo, the way bamboo grows, because I don't know if you grow bamboo, but to start with, nothing much happens because you plant it, and if you want it to stay where it is, it stays in a pot. But what bamboo does, it puts feelers out, and then
we have that down here with knotweed. Hello.
Yeah, similar sort of thing. But,
very much. Well, it's you can actually eat it.
Well, there's another opportunity.
But that's the way it is, isn't it? You put these feelers out, and other things start to come and cross your path.
Yes, I think that was really it. We were building ourselves. We
Yeah.
didn't really realize, we didn't know, because bamboo starts to sort of shoot up everywhere. And what happened for us is all these things that we had invested in, these things we'd learned and the more qualifications we'd taken, suddenly all came together. And we were able to set up another business, which was, we set up our own financial services company. And so John had those qualifications with another partner, and I had my business and marketing skills. So I was I ran the business.
Good team.
It was a really good start.
Very good team.
Which we did start in the cowshed. But there you go. You've got to start somewhere.
So yeah. So, you know, there's so many things for people to get out of that. Never give up. If you've got a dream that you want to run your own business and do something, it doesn't matter where you start it. You can be in a cowshed or the back room or wherever, as long as you've got the vision and the drive. What other things would you suggest that somebody think and dig deep about before they go into business for themselves? Like, is it, I know an awful lot of coaches do this too, they get another little part-time job to support themselves when they're going through their transition into, you know, getting clients and getting out there. But you've got the likes of Tony Robbins that says, burn your boats, you'll be driven, you know, that'll be your drive to get cracking and make it happen. One asks sometimes, what is the real life on that? Because like you say, you know, a lot of us have families, we have to put food on the table. What would you actually suggest?
Yeah, I think it is learning to spin those plates. I do come across people who ask me about ideas that they've got, or ventures that they've started, things that they're doing sort of on the side. And kind of my instinct is to say, don't give up the day job yet.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Because for us, like, we started one of our businesses when we got financial services business, we started another business, and that was just a germ of an idea. And we earned £1 the very first time we kind of set that business up to run. But that business just completely took off. But we didn't just say, oh, this is a fantastic idea, let's go with this and forget that. We ran both businesses, and what happened was this. So this was our financial services, this was the startup, and then slowly it kind of went like this. And then we did actually give away our financial services business and concentrated totally on this. I do see the merit on burning your bridges, but to be honest, there's so many quick fix ideas now that you read about, you know, like my grandchildren, you know, I've got older grandchildren as well, and I'm sure if they go online and they'll say, do this course for 5 days, post this, and you'll be a millionaire in a week. Yeah,
and that's their expectation, though, isn't it? As well,
it is.
Not that hard work and everything else that they have put into behind it. And then they'll show you an influencer to prove you're wrong when you're trying to explain that you need to put the groundwork in. So Jan has come together with somebody who actually trained me to create a wonderful program called the Entrepreneur's Journey, using the experience that both of them have brought to the table. When are you looking to do your next one on that, Jan?
Because Justin Tipper, who's the chappie that we're talking about, master NLP and trainer and business coach, consultant, psychologist, everything. He actually did a little presentation of a thing called the Hero's Journey, and it's a thing by Joseph Campbell, where it sort of shows the cycle of things that you will see, you'll read in a book, or your best blockbuster that you've watched or anything. You'll see the pattern where the hero gets called to some kind of mission or adventure, and then he crosses the threshold of point of no return, faces loads of challenges, goes into the abyss, and then works his way out with various transformations and revelations, and then comes back home and sort of lives happy ever after. But what that did for me, that little short lunchtime presentation, is I totally recognize that as my business journey. You look at that and think, oh my God, that is exactly what has happened to me. And it doesn't just happen once, of course. There's little cycles in it where you're having challenges all the time, or you're having revelations or whatever. And then quite often you get to that point and it says, you know, they live happily ever after. And then the bit I love about that was until the next call. And this is what happened. And you think, right, okay, well, we've done that. And then gosh, and a little idea comes or an opportunity or
Yeah.
something like that. So the joy of putting this course together, because it did take a while. And there was various things. We were going to do it a certain time, and then we had to put it back a few months, and then something else. But we did actually run it in June, and May, and it was such a great thing to do. And we had quite a small group, and what we've done is we've given them this sort of roadmap, if you like, of expectations. So it's like managing expectations. But then we've been able to put in all the business stuff, all the really useful, juicy business stuff.
Yeah.
So we've got some solutions already. We've got some models. We've got some ideas.
Yeah.
So when you are in that challenging point, or you do think you're in the abyss, or you're trying to crawl out of it, we've got some tools to fit in with it, and that's so we've now called it the entrepreneur's journey. So because it is the hero's journey, because you are the hero of your own story, but this is your entrepreneurial journey.
It's true, and that's a good point actually, because as if you're looking for help with coaching, the best place to go is to go to somebody who's been through it. And so, to say it's the entrepreneur's journey, and here we have one of the island's top entrepreneurs taking you through this course, where else would you want to be if this is what is in your heart that you want to do? And, I mean, I had the privilege of being a guinea pig for them to run through it, and I loved it. And I can't get enough of this sort of stuff, because we as business people are always trying to stretch and grow and put the effort in. And like Jan says, we were listening to motivational speakers all the way along to keep ourselves going when we were, sometimes sort of at the, why am I doing this? At a time driving a van between pet shops, why am I doing this, when that was coming out, the NLP, the motivational stuff, was what I want to do that for people, but you have to first do it for yourself. So that's what I did. And this lady here has been through an awful lot of things that, the education that you pass on is just incredible. So if anybody is actually thinking about doing that course, Jan, how do they get in touch with you?
Great. Well, we're just starting to post about the course on LinkedIn. So if you could want to follow me on LinkedIn, excuse me, we're putting the little advert. There's a link there that takes you to it's a page on Justin's website, and we can tell you all about the course. And also we've got some testimonials from the people who came on the last course, so that's sort of quite useful. You don't just take my word for it, you can hear what they say about it. So really through LinkedIn is the easiest way to start with. Is that
that's great.
Exactly.
And then as people that follow me know, that I'll have a page to have all the information on, so they can pause the video and take that information down, and we make sure you get to that or that course, or perhaps even one day you'll do it online. Well,
that is the next
next
job. In fact, I'm meeting Justin this week, because what we'd like to do is we'd like to do a live online version of it, which we've already set aside some dates to do it, perhaps in the winter.
That's a good idea.
So that we get that interaction, because it's really fun when you do it, because you don't really know where some of the things are going. You don't know the feedback and the interaction that you're going to get with your audience. So we are going to do a live version of that course, a live online version, and then we are going to record an online version. So if somebody just wanted to have it as their own little Netflix,
love it.
I mean, this is how I am. And I know you are the same, Di, as well. But I love this stuff. This is my Netflix stuff. I'm really happy to say I'll watch Tony Robbins or any
can't get
sort of gurus and stuff that inspires you and motivates you and helps you keep going. Because that's how you've got to design your life. You've got to design your life with that positive input and those influences.
And that brings us nicely around to what you were saying too earlier, before we came on to do this podcast. We were talking briefly, and you were talking about business people that struggle to actually ask the questions because they think they should know the answers. And we know that because of doing coaching, we know when we come up against something, there is somebody usually in our network that we can reach out and tap into their knowledge and ask, you know, can we have a chat, and then decide whether or not we need to go any further with that chat. But do you want to share a little bit of what you meant, because you've come across this while you've been doing your business coaching?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from the point of view of asking questions, I think, well, to start with, you know, if you're in business, you want to set up your business, just remember two things. You're not alone, and you can always reach out and ask for help. Those are really, really important fundamentals, because I think the biggest mistake of leaders, some entrepreneurs, supervisors, team leaders, you know, anyone who's supposed to be like the boss, is they think they should know everything. And to me, the best leaders are the ones that have all the right questions, not all the right answers.
Yeah,
because they know to keep asking questions is how they're going to find out.
Yeah.
And quite often, especially if you've got a team, you can ask your team, you can ask your contacts,
Yeah.
you can ask, you know,
Yes.
family, friends, contacts, people that you trust. You can ask these questions, and they're going to come up with the solution for you.
They are, yeah.
So yeah, asking them.
And if not, there'll be somebody in
Yes.
somebody's networking that will, you know, this is what that's all about, isn't it? They'll be able to say, oh, you should go and speak to so-and-so about that.
Definitely.
Yeah. So while we are talking about the coaching, and we're coming around to the next bit of our conversation, before we close off on this one, I have been asking my guests a couple of questions, just randomly.
You didn't warn me about this.
No, that's right. So that's the clues in the word there, Jan. But who has inspired you the most in the last 1 to 2 years?
Oh wow, in the last 1 to 2 years. Well, I think this is going to sound a little bit odd, but I think COVID and what happened in COVID and the whole sort of lockdown thing actually did inspire me, because it gave me permission to stay in and to watch webinars and to do things and to learn things and to send for new books and all those kind of things. So I think in a way, I know it's terribly tragic, and you know we had some awful tragedies close by through COVID, but I think it was a bit of a reset. And I think that having that time to just have to stay in, to do things, to organise, you know, even to organise your 1 hour where you could go out and do your exercise.
Yes, and make you made yourself do it.
Yes,
instead
absolutely.
of actually, you know, just letting work carry on. No, actually, I'm stopping at 4 and I'm doing a walk.
It was a privilege to do that, you know, and it made
and
you
how
do
quickly
that.
we forget it.
Yeah,
We get back into the swing of everything else that we're doing in life, and
That's
all of a
right. sudden,
when did you last go for a walk?
Yeah. I think, you know, that for me was just, it was a gift.
Yeah.
It was a gift, and it was giving yourself permission to do that. I love listening to some of the obvious sort of gurus. I love listening to Tony Robbins and the like. One of my big things, I'm a member of Mind Valley.
Yes.
And that for me, Vishen Lakhiani, and actually I did my coach training through Mind Valley, well, Evercoach as it is. Ajit, I can never pronounce his surname, Nawalka or something like that. So and there's so much material on Mind Valley. You've just got the opportunity to listen to some of the absolute best. And I love listening to Marissa Peer, Jason Goldberg, the Law of Attraction material. I mean, it's just endless. It's just endless. So I would say that Mind Valley at that time just came into its own for me, because I would be able to, I was giving myself permission to watch and learn, and actually sort of saying to my husband, oh, if you don't mind, there's a webinar on now, I'm going to just do this for an hour. And it was just so cool to be able to do it.
You know, I've got one that starts at 4 o'clock today. You know, but you know, it's just, there's just a few things tonight, they're all in one night, because you can be around the world, because obviously this bit's in Europe, there's another bit in America later on tonight, but the thing is, you know, you want to keep developing yourself, and it doesn't stop just because Jan's reached some of the tick box things that an awful lot of us only dream about, this lady's achieved, and you can see you're still going and doing these things to energizes me.
Yes, definitely. And me too. And I think, you know what, I think that is one a really important quality of a coach as well, that they never stop learning.
Yeah,
coaches are always learning.
Yeah,
you're learning from the experience
yes,
that you're having, that you're
is.
sharing with your clients.
It is,
and you always have that sort of hunger to
and that's a very nice segue. Because I'm very honoured that I had this idea and Jan has helped me run with it, and we have come together with another friend of mine, Mario Rashadi, to just ask a coach, which is around the principles that we understand how empowering coaching is for people. But not a lot of people understand this. Some people think that coaches are just, they're familiar with them with sports and things, but they're not that familiar with them when it comes to this kind of conversation that we're having now about how you stretch and how you grow as a person, and how we have challenges in life. And the best thing to do is go and find yourself a coach in that area that can then help you find the answers within you to get where you need to be. And that is key. Coaches do not tell you what to do. Okay, we help you dig deep and help you find your path to where you want to be with whatever the challenges that you've got. So we've come together to do this Just Ask a Coach, with this idea that we want to help serve people in our community, and help them find their feet when we can all have those feelings of overwhelm. And it just starts off with one thought, which you hold for 17 seconds, attaches to another, to another, to another. So if they're good thoughts, that's fine, happy days, you're on a nice little roll. But if you've got issues going on and you're now attaching it to another, to another, to another, you can start going through the depression spiral. And so what we want to do is to come in and be a platform with our networking community that have agreed to do this with us, and be there to have this empowering conversation for people in our community. And so is there anything else you want to add or bring to the table on this now?
I was just so excited about this when Di said about the idea, because I truly I so believe in coaching. I so believe in the way that we can just reach out and ask, and it is Just Ask a Coach. So it reads as like Jack. When you see the initials, which every time I see it, I just feel really excited about the opportunity. And when Di says a bit about her community, Di, well, we both have like a global community, because of course everyone does, because we're online. So this is something that's going to be available online, as well as hopefully we are going to have something in the Isle of Man, maybe a physical space where people can come. But it's just somehow we have to get across the message that this is about reaching out and just ask a coach, and it can be in any area of your life. So for Di, Di does her life after loss.
Grief work.
Coaching with your grief work. I'm really happy to do business, although business always, I'm happy sitting in a boardroom and dealing at that level with strategy and finance and everything else. But in the end, you're dealing with people. You're dealing with the board members, and so there's always that human element.
That's right.
And I think for Just Ask a Coach, the sort of people who we're reaching out to, the sort of people I've spoken to, they are coaches in all sorts of areas.
And that can be even family. There's an awful lot of social workers that are going to come through that are now doing coaching, and there's so it's not just about business or in grief, it's about your health. I've got a fantastic new coach coming through on the health front that's open to helping with us. And so we've got all of these people that are good. So it's going to be like a big umbrella, Just Ask a Coach. And underneath it is going to be all these different areas of our lives that you can feel stuck in from time to time. And it's for you to be able to go there and say, okay, I'd like to have a conversation about this issue I've got. I'm not being able to find my own answers. We can turn to friends, but friends are only ever going to tell you things that you want to hear. Whereas, you know, they may be right, but a coach will ask you different questions to get you to think about it in a different way. We talk about perspectives of things, and that can often help people find that actual answers to what they're seeking without it going any further. So it's not a case of coming on board and having this conversation and then getting that feeling that you're pulled into then working with somebody. That obviously is entirely the person's choice. But the idea of this is that the coaches that come on board will be giving their time free for the allocated time that you have with them in those areas. So if they, you know, I know that I've had coaching conversations with people, and that has been such a value to me, because I've been able to get to where, you know, where I needed to be in that conversation. I've had an awful lot of life challenges, and I thank God for my community that's been around me, that are coaches, to have helped me and have been able to do that. So this is where I'm coming. I want to have that here for you, and Jan is completely supportive of that.
Yeah, I think the important thing is that first approach, that just ask a coach, that sort of simple thing for you to do, is something that you can access for free, as Di said. So the initial meeting would be for free, and you know, you might get everything you need out of that one meeting. Quite often I've said to people, perhaps they've shared some sort of challenge, and I said, oh, let's have a coffee. And over a coffee, or sometimes a glass of wine, but usually a coffee, you know, we've been able to explore so many things, because sometimes it's about like identifying what is the issue, if you like, but then really exploring what is the issue, because sometimes it's not necessarily what you think it is. And then of course you can start getting really imaginative and creative, and find the solutions, you know, look for the solutions. And the idea is then that if you think you do want to work with a coach, then you can engage with that coach and move forward. And
that's completely right.
Just that moment where people might not think about asking a coach, they might think, well, I don't have a coach, you know, I say you hear about coaching in sport. But just that opportunity for us to be able to get the message across, to say to people, look, why don't you just ask a coach? And then that could be the stepping stone for them.
Absolutely.
They,
because the people that are you know, have been part of this, are going to be part of this, they've been where you are. We've had issues in different areas of our lives, but we've known this to just reach out to somebody. So I just want to thank you, my dear friend, for coming along today.
My pleasure.
And having this little podcast with us. And I'm quite sure we'll be doing follow-up ones in the near future. And if any of you would like to get in touch with Jan, as I mentioned, there's going to be a card at the end of this where you can reach out and have a conversation with her about her new course that's coming up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. Thank you for asking me, and thank you for listening, folks.
Bye now.
Bye.